The iPhone 10. Is it still worth buying in 2021? Well, this phone is now about 3.5 years old, guys. But overall, I would say this phone has aged pretty well. Obviously, you can see I still have mine, and I had it and used it as my everyday phone until I upgraded to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So I have some points that I want to cover in this video that will maybe help you determine whether or not you should still buy this phone in 2021, because I think we're getting very close to the tipping point of where the answer might be no, but it could still be yes, depending on your use case and how important certain features are to you. So let's check it out. So the first thing is obviously the price, okay? Right now, if you were to buy this phone, I have the 64 gigabyte model, and it comes with the box, and I could include the charger and headphones if I really wanted to, but say I didn't include the charger and the headphones, eBay says the going price for this phone right now is about $305. So that's not bad considering I paid $999 plus tax for it when it was brand new. Yeah, that's not a bad price for an iPhone, especially one of this caliber. So this phone was obviously the best that Apple had produced up to that point when it was brand new, and it still holds up very well here in 2021. The screen quality is still fantastic. I would say it's arguably almost just as good as my iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's really not that far off. So definitely you're not losing anything there in that department. iOS updates. This phone is already 3.5 years old. Typically Apple supports the phones for about 7 years, so you're like right in the middle. So there's still plenty of life left in it, hopefully, as far as getting the iOS updates. But I would imagine in the next 2 to 3 years, this phone will really start showing its age. But you know, for $300, it's kind of hard to worry so much about that because that's a very low price for such a great phone like this. Now I will say the camera and the video quality is still very good and very usable on this phone. It's not quite as good as the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but that's to be expected. Obviously that phone should be better because it's more expensive and it's the newest and latest model. One thing that's been great about this phone since I've had it is the durability factor. Considering this phone is practically all glass on the front and the back, and just some stainless steel around the edges, I've kept this phone in pretty great condition. I'll show you a close-up shot here of what condition it's in. But I'd never put cases on my iPhones. Ever since I've had an iPhone 6, I stopped using cases because I live right here on the beach and I go to the beach a lot. And guess what? If you drop your phone in the sand when you have a case on it, sand tends to build up in the case and will actually do more damage and scratch up your phone more than just having it out of the case, is what I've found. The only thing the case is probably any good for is maybe a little extra drop protection, but I'm pretty good at not dropping my phone. Every time I hold it, I just remember how much I paid for it, and that makes it pretty easy to squeeze tight. I will say though, I had one issue with the phone in terms of durability when I was walking outside and I got in a torrential downpour when I was going for a walk on the boardwalk, and obviously the phone got soaking wet, and it claims on Apple's website that the phone could be submerged up to 3 feet of water, and it wasn't even submerged because it was just getting rain. And I had this weird issue with like the lens right here actually got some moisture right inside. I think you can actually still see a little bit of this. I'll show you guys here in a shot. But it doesn't seem to affect the quality of the camera anymore. But when it first happened, I was getting very blurry shots from the camera because somehow it seemed like moisture seeped in there. But it didn't affect the performance of the rest of the phone, luckily. I think the size of the phone also is basically perfect for most people. If you have average size hands like me, it fits in your hand very nicely. And one of the hardest things for me to get used to once I got the 12 Pro Max was the gigantic size. And I have to say I've come to love the size of the phone and the screen. But, you know, this is still really good, guys. I mean, if this is your only phone and your daily driver, there's nothing wrong with the size of this phone, and it's going to be great for most people unless you have unusually large hands or you just need to have the biggest phone that Apple makes. Now here's something I want to cover that I think could really influence whether or not it's worth buying this phone in 2021, because Apple has the second generation of the iPhone SE on their website for sale. The base model is $399. So that's not too much more money than what you could get one of these used for. And the reason why I think that's a tempting buy over this phone is for a couple reasons. One, you're getting that 1 year warranty that Apple offers every phone, and that's not even including getting Apple Care. So if anything were to go wrong with the phone, you at least have that in your back pocket. And I've had to utilize that, as you guys might have seen in some of my previous videos from my recent iPhone 12 Pro Max. Having that warranty does come in handy versus buying a phone that's already 3.5 years old, and anything that's wrong with it is on you. You know, you're going to be paying for that. Anybody who's buying a phone this old, it's not going to have Apple Care anymore. Even if the previous owner paid for it, it would be expired by now. So the main thing I would be checking for on a phone like this, obviously to make sure there's no cracks in any of the glass, because that's the most expensive thing to fix on these phones. And besides that, a common issue that you might want to look out for is just to see how much life is left on the battery. Mine has 83% battery life left, which isn't too bad considering 3.5 years of use and being my everyday phone. And the battery life is still pretty decent even at an 83% left. But if you had to replace the battery, now you're talking an extra $69 being replaced from Apple plus tax. So if the phone itself is $300, plus you got to pay another $75 for a battery, now you're already looking at $375 for a used phone versus paying $25 more to get a brand new iPhone SE. And there are still some advantages to having this phone over the iPhone SE, like this phone has an HDR screen, which the iPhone SE does not. And also, this phone has the telephoto lens, whereas the iPhone SE just has the standard wide angle lens. And there's a couple other things. I might even make a comparison video because the price point is so close between those two models to see who should buy which one. Because the thing is, with the iPhone SE, you're getting a lot of the new stuff that Apple offers, like the newer processor. You get an A13 chip versus an A11, so that phone would actually be faster than this one. But you're kind of going back in time with the design. You're going back to the iPhone 8 design. Although right now, depending on where you live, if you're dealing with the mask thing and you don't have the Apple Watch, having that Touch ID would come in pretty handy these days over the past year or so versus dealing with the Face ID that never works. So I think in order to determine if this phone is still worth it for you in 2021 is you have to decide, why are you buying this particular model over that brand new iPhone SE, or maybe even an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 12, you know, for $600-700, because obviously it's double the price of this thing, so you're going to be paying a lot more. But if you're on a low budget, you're pretty much stuck with paying, you know, $300-400 for one of these, depending on the storage, because these came in 64 gig and 256 gig. Mine's a 64. It seemed to have lasted pretty good for me. But nowadays, I have the 128 model on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I do enjoy having that higher storage space. The 128 seems to be a perfect middle ground for me, but there is no middle ground on these, so you either got to get the 64 or the 256. But the good thing is, on the iPhone SE, they come with either the 64 gig on the base model, or for $50 more, you can double that to 128. So still for $450, you're looking at a brand new phone with the double the storage space of this thing and a 1-year warranty and some of the newer features under the hood that Apple offers, but still giving up some of the sacrifices in terms of the screen, the design, as well as the camera. So if you want like the best camera that you can get and also have that telephoto lens, and you don't mind taking some chances and hoping that the phone's going to last a few more years for you, then I would say yes, it's still worth it to buy one of these over that newer phone. However, if you just want an iPhone that works and you want something brand new that has a warranty, then I would say it's probably not worth it to get one of these, especially a refurbished one from Apple. Definitely don't buy one of those, because then you might as well just buy an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 12. Because the prices are basically the same. So guys, let me know in the comments, do you think this phone at a $300 to $400 price point is still worth it in 2021? I would love to hear what your opinions are on this, and why don't you go ahead and check out my next video on the screen right over here, and I'll see you guys over there.